by solar power, but also that solar energy operates our forklift trucks, our electric baler, which crushes the vehicles, and the company is in a transition of moving into 100% electric.
As consumer interest in sustainability grows, there's likely to be increasing demand for reused parts like this one, rather than purely recycled ones. And as you can see from the scale of this facility, there's already quite a lot of it.
But one barrier people face is being sure of the quality of reused parts. As eBay is one of the largest online automotive marketplaces, it has partnered up with industry bodies to develop the Vehicle Recyclers Association certification to help consumers buy in confidence.
The big thing is it's completely independent of the industry, so it's an outside body looking at it. And what it is, it's a verification that you operate to a certain standard.
Was developed because we needed to have more professionalism in the industry. So by having provenance, i.e. knowing where that part, that second-hand part came from, the car that came from, and also ensuring it's not a stolen part, gives the insurance company satisfaction that they can then fit that part.
As consumer attitudes towards the second-hand market are changing, so is the industry. And instead of being the sort of place where cars come to die, facilities like this one are giving them a new lease of life.
The container giant Maersk says it has ordered 6 new container ships capable of running on green methanol. The vessels will be equipped with dual fuel engines that can run on both diesel and methanol and will carry upwards of 9,000 containers. Those ship deliveries will begin in 2026. Now, just before we go, let's have a look at the market, starting with European shares. They did get off to a weaker start today. On Monday, with events in Russia driving defence stocks lower as uncertainty over how those events might unfold following a failed mutiny attempt that we've been talking about drove investors to take profits out of a good run. The FTSE currently down at 0.34%. The DAX also down 0.2% and the CAC 40 up a fraction at 0.4%. Asia Pacific market started the final week of June pretty mixed. The Nikkei also down 0.25% there. The Hang Seng down just over 0.5%, even as US markets snapped a multi-winning streak on Friday. Hong Kong's Hang Seng there extended last week's losses to fall, as you can see there, just over 0.5%. You are up to date on all the day's top business stories. I'm Samantha Simmonds. Thanks very much for watching. We'll bring you more a little bit later.
BBC News, bringing you different stories from across the UK.
Members of the University and College Union have staged industrial action in a long-running row, including a boycott of marking exam papers. In Durham, it's those students who began their courses at the height of the COVID pandemic who have just sat final exams. They were expecting to discover their degree classification, but some now must wait.
I'm in my final year and I've only had a third of my final year actually marked. Which means that the university is not able to tell me whether I actually have a degree at the end of it or my classification. They've just been able to tell me what I'm on track to get.
The University and College Union say they will continue with the boycott until the Universities and Colleges Employees Association make what they called an improved offer on pay and working conditions. In a statement, Durham University told us that we deeply sympathise with our students already impacted by the pandemic who now endure further uncertainty and anxiety. We are reassuring our students that any remaining work will be marked as swiftly as possible, and we will provide marks and the final classifications as soon as they are available. Students will be invited to graduation ceremonies, but for some like Rory, it's not what they wanted.
BBC News, bringing you different stories from across the UK. Be ready. Change can happen in an instant. Check on the BBC Weather app.
Hello there, this is your update from the BBC Sports Centre. Some news to disappoint Manchester City fans to start with. Their treble-winning captain İlkay Gündoğan has left to join Barcelona on a free transfer. The Germany midfielder made more than 300 appearances for City, including winning 12 major trophies. The German player said it was a total privilege and pleasure to play for City and said he'd experienced hundreds of unforgettable moments. So let's take a look then at Gündoğan's success under Pep Guardiola since joining from Borussia Dortmund in 2016. He was Guardiola's first signing for the club. 5 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups and, of course, that famous Champions League victory in the season just gone. He was also a League Cup winner on 4 occasions too, the first of which came back in 2018. A real statement from Mexico at the CONCACAF Gold Cup after beating Honduras 4-0 in their opening group game. Luis Romo scored twice, the first after just a minute, as the most successful side in the competition looked to win back the title from the USA. Earlier, Haiti beat Qatar 2-1 with a stoppage time winner. Qatar playing in the tournament for the second time after making their debut in 2021. And Trinidad beat St Kitts and Nevis 3 goals to 0. The tournament will be played in 15 stadiums across 14 cities in the US and Canada. Now, Hollywood actors Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are expanding their sport portfolio with an investment in Formula One. The pair, of course, famously bought Welsh football club Wrexham and got them promoted back to the English Football League last season. Now they're part of a group investing in British-based Alpine Racing. The team's parent company, Renault, announced the sale of a 24% stake on Monday morning. Golf now, and China's Ru Ning won the Women's PGA Championship with an incredible birdie winner on the last hole of her final round. The 20-year-old was level with Japan's Yuka Saso on 7 under, heading to the par 5 18th on Sunday, and managed to sink her 4th birdie of her last round to win in New Jersey and claim her first major title. Ireland's Leona Maguire started the day with a 1-shot lead, but dropped down the leaderboard to finish in a share of 11th, 4 shots behind Yin, who was overjoyed by her victory.
It means a lot, but I still feel so unreal right now. Before today, I didn't even think about it. And after 9 holes, when we at a clubhouse, I started thinking about, oh, maybe I have a chance to win this championship.
Yeah, what a win for her. And Keegan Bradley secured his 6th PGA title after victory in the Travelers Championship in Connecticut. The American finished on 23 under overall, 3 clear of compatriots Zach Blair and Brian Harman. Northern Ireland's Rory McIlroy finished in a share of 7th place. Bradley overcame a back 9 wobble to follow up his success at the Zozo Championship 8 months ago.
You know, this is for all the kids who grew up in New England, got to sit through the winters and watch other people play golf. And I just am so proud to win this tournament. Travelers and everybody involved puts on a first-class tournament. It's been like this for a decade, and I'm just so proud to be the winner here.
Cricket now, in Australia are closing in on a victory against England in the women's Ashes Test at Trent Bridge. Australia need just 3 more wickets after taking 2 in the opening hour of the morning session. England resumed on 116 for 5 and they're now 157 for 7, chasing 268 to win, which would be the highest chase in women's Test history. Ash Gardner has 5 wickets for Australia. The winner takes 4 points then in this multi-format series. West Indies are taking on the Netherlands as part of the ongoing qualification for this year's Men's Cricket World Cup. They scored 374 for 6 in the one-day match in Harare. Nicholas Pooran surpassed 100, finishing on 104 not out. The West Indies come into this having lost to Zimbabwe, level with the Netherlands in the group, who beat Nepal in their previous match. And Zimbabwe can make it 4 wins out of 4 if they beat the USA. They made 408 for 6 off their 50 overs, mainly thanks to Sean Williams' huge score of 174. The American team have lost all 3 of their matches so far and will be up against it when they start their run chase shortly. Now, the first Olympic esports winners have been crowned in Singapore. It was the first ever dedicated week to esports by the International Olympic Committee, involving 3 days of live finals featuring virtual competition for sports like cycling, sailing and taekwondo. 14-year-old Singaporean Nigel Tan became the host country's first Olympic esports series winner in the taekwondo event. Organisers feel it can be the start of big things to come.
There are a lot of benefits to do physical virtual sport. We just finished the first event of this Olympic esports week with cycling, and we saw really the engagement. It was very short format, very nice to see inclusivity, gender equality. The men were supporting the women and vice versa.
Finally, Los Angeles Dodgers' Freddie Freeman reached the milestone of 2,000 hits in Major League Baseball. His line drive to right field in the 8th inning was his second double of the night during the Dodgers' 6-5 loss to the Houston Astros. Freeman spent his first 12 seasons with Atlanta after the Braves selected him in the second round of the 2007 draft. He's the 295th player to get to the 2,000 mark. And what a mark it is. That is just about it from us, though. You can, of course, get all the latest on the BBC Sport website, including that culmination to the women's Ashes test between England and Australia. We'll be back with more later on. We'll see you then.
You're live with BBC News. I'm Gareth Barlow. More now on the aftermath of the aborted mutiny by Wagner mercenaries in Russia over the weekend. The Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has been giving his reaction to events. He was on a visit to a health screening facility in Nottinghamshire. He was also asked about the latest developments in the Stephen Lawrence investigation. The Prime Minister has been speaking in the last few minutes. He began with Russia.
I've spoken to the leader of the United States, but also France and Germany over the weekend. We're completely coordinated on our response to this. It's a situation that we've been monitoring for some time, the instability that would be caused by Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. And what we saw over this weekend is an example of that coming to the fore. It's obviously too early to predict with certainty what might happen as a result of this, but I'm in close touch with our allies and we're monitoring the situation closely.
And are you prepared for a collapse of the regime? And there's documents today saying the UK needs to be prepared. I mean, this is the most tooled up nuclear power in the world. Is the UK prepared for Putin's collapse if it comes?
As I said, it's a situation that we've been analysing and monitoring for some time because we're aware of the potentially destabilising impact of Russia's illegal war on Ukraine and indeed the tensions between the Wagner Group and the Putin regime. That's why we're in close touch with our allies to make sure that we're coordinated. It's too early to predict with certainty what the consequences of this might be, but of course we are prepared, as we always would be, for a range of scenarios.
Just very, very finally, on Stephen Lawrence today, the BBC have named a suspect. You know, this shows the failings of the Metropolitan Police again, some would say. Do you think, frankly, that the government needs to take action now when it comes to the Met, given the repeat failures, not just in this case, but in others as well?
I think the first thing to say is my thoughts are with all of Stephen Lawrence's loved ones, especially his parents who have worked so tirelessly to ensure that his legacy lives on. And it's an operational police matter, so I can't comment in detail other than to say that I know the Metropolitan Police themselves this morning have said that they will of course review any new information that comes to light.
Now, let's just bring you some breaking developments. The inquest has opened into the death of Nicola Bully, who vanished while walking her dog in Lancashire in January. She died as a result of drowning and was alive when she fell into the water, her inquest has heard. The 45-year-old went missing from St Michael's on Wyre in Lancashire, like I say, earlier in the year, prompting a major search. It took more than 3 weeks for her body to be found in the river, a mile away from where she was last seen. The Home Office pathologist, Dr Alison Armour, giving evidence in County Hall in Preston, said there was no evidence that she was harmed. Rising housing costs are just the latest big squeeze on the cost of living, and it's a really worrying time for many. According to the debt charity Step Change, more than 25% of all new clients say the rising cost of living is the source of their debt. That's compared to just 9% back at the start of 2022. Here's Olivia Richwald.
Afternoon, you're through to Beth at Step Change. How can I help?
Is he behind with any other bills, rent, council tax, water, TV licence?
The call handlers at the charity Step Change help those in financial crisis. Debts are mounting up, bills are being ignored and bailiffs are knocking.
Got both of you for your debt advice session, but I've only got you registered for the mortgage and the equity release side of things.
Yeah, it does take a lot of emotional resilience to work, especially
work in the charity at the moment, especially with the cost of living crisis. We're seeing, I think, a lot more desperate clients.
The charity was set up 30 years ago and employs 800 staff at the Leeds head office. We were filming as news broke that interest rates were rising for the 13th time in a row. Today's shock announcement of a 5% interest rate comes as the mortgage team here in Leeds are desperately trying to help clients in financial stress. But according to the charity, it takes about a year between when a client enters a financial crisis and when they finally reach out for help.
What we would say is people don't have to suffer on their own. We are going through a once-in-a-generation, if not more, cost of living crisis. And if anything positive can come out of what is an incredibly horrible situation, I'd hope it is that we can get a bit better of talking about our financial problems and asking for help from organisations like Step Change.
Typical clients will already have squeezed their spending on shopping, entertainment and non-essentials.
Have you spoken to your lender at all about what help they can offer or assistance they can give you in dealing with that mortgage?
Some are also considering cuts that would damage their financial future.
Okay, that's fine. I've had clients advise us and ask should they reduce their pension payments or stop their pension payments. Costs of such things as health insurance have gone up. People question and ask whether they can make those as a cut, whether they can take those out. And there's life insurances as well. People turn to everything they can try and make a reduction on or that they might deem that they don't need.
The message here is to seek help early before debts escalate. Staff can negotiate with creditors and put plans in place to shed debt over time. You are not alone, and it's likely many more people will need help as the interest rate rise continues to bite. Olivia Richwald, BBC News, Leeds.
Now it's time to take a look at the weather with Carol Kirkwood.
Hello again. It's been very humid of late, and over the next few days the weather is going to turn that bit fresher. There'll still be sunshine in the forecast, but at times there will also be some rain. Today we've got this transient ridge of high pressure across us, so a more settled day than it was yesterday. But having said that, we still are looking at a mixture of sunshine and showers. Some of the showers will be heavy, but there's less of a chance of them being thundery, and quite blowy winds as well. Now, some of us missing the showers will have a pleasant day. Temperatures up to about 23 degrees. In the north, we're looking at 15 to 20 degrees, which will still feel pleasant if you're out of the showers. Heading on through the evening and overnight, many of the showers will eventually fade, but through the night, thicker cloud will start to arrive in Northern Ireland, and then we'll see some rain coming in, and the wind will pick up too across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland. These are overnight lows, 9 to 13 degrees. So then, into tomorrow, we start off with sunshine in the east and also the south, but the cloud and rain already in the west pushes into Northern Ireland, Scotland, Northern England and Wales. Drier as we push further south, but increasingly cloudy, and our temperatures 15 to about 22 degrees. So moving further into the week again, for Wednesday what we're looking at is this cold front coming in. Now we're in between a warm and a cold front, so ahead of the cold front we're in humid conditions, but behind it here we're looking at fresher conditions coming our way. So a lot of cloud with some splashes of rain across parts of England and Wales. Then in comes the cold front across Scotland, Northern Ireland, getting into Northern England through the day, and behind that fresher conditions follow, and here too we'll be looking at sunshine and showers. Temperatures in the west 15 to 18, but up to 24 in the southeast. For Thursday, the weather front, the cold front, might just stall across the far southeast of England. If that happens, then we will see some persistent rain for much of the day, on and off. Whereas as we push further north away from that rain, we're looking at something drier and brighter. Yes, there'll be areas of cloud at times, thick enough even for the odd shower. And temperature-wise during the course of Thursday, well, we're looking at a range of 15 in the north to a high of maybe 22 as we push down to the far southeast. That's 72 in Old Money.
Live from London, this is BBC News. After Russia releases the first pictures of its defence minister since the weekend's rebellion by Wagner mercenaries, the country's Prime Minister admits the mutiny was a challenge to stability. We'll have the latest on Russia from our correspondents, and in half an hour we'll hear from a panel of experts with their analysis. A key suspect in the racist murder of the black teenager Stephen Lawrence 30 years ago has been named for the first time after a BBC investigation. Japan says it would shoot down Chinese spy balloons spotted over their territory in the future. Hello and welcome. I'm Samantha Simmonds. Welcome to BBC News Now. 3 hours of fast-moving news, interviews and reaction. Well, we start with the dramatic events which unfolded in Russia over the weekend. In the past hour, the Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin said that the country had faced a challenge to its stability. And Mr. Mishustin called for unity behind the leadership of Vladimir Putin. NATO's Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg has also been making his first public comments about the aborted mutiny by Wagner mercenaries. He said the rebellion demonstrated that President Vladimir Putin's reasons for invading Ukraine were flawed.
The events over the weekend are an internal Russian matter, and yet another demonstration of the big strategic mistake that President Putin made with his legal annexation of Crimea and the war against Ukraine. As Russia continues its assault, it is even more important to continue our support to Ukraine.
Well, events over the weekend unfolded pretty rapidly. On Friday, Yevgeny Prigozhin released a video stepping up his feud with Russia's military top generals. In it, he questioned President Putin's justification for invading Ukraine. In response, Russia's FSB security service opened a criminal case against him. By Saturday, Wagner fighters entered the southern Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, taking control of the army headquarters. Vladimir Putin made a televised address. He accused Mr. Prigozhin of treason and a stab in the back and urged a consolidation of all forces. Reports said Wagner mercenary troops were heading north to Moscow in a convoy. Russian soldiers set up defensive positions around Moscow, according to photos seen by the media. President Joe Biden spoke to the leaders of France, Germany and the UK about the crisis. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko